All right, we're live. Hi, everybody. My name is Amber Lee, and I am your Instructional Technology Student Association Vice President. I'm here with corporate instructional designer Krystine Papineau. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comment box, and we'll take some questions towards the end. But we're here to talk with Krystine and get a little bit more of an idea of the corporate side of things, because I know in our programs we hear a lot about the academic side, which is a wonderful career choice for us. But we do want to find out a little bit what's going on in industry, and we have a great perspective to share with you today. So I hope you enjoy the presentation. I'm so excited and so thankful to have Krystine here. And Krystine, please take it away.
Okay, thank you, Amber, and thanks to everyone online for attending. Even though I'm also currently pursuing my master's in instructional design at USF, I have been doing instructional design basically for over 15 years, basically in different. Currently, I am the senior advisor of instructional design for a financial firm, very big financial firm in the area, so you could maybe guess who that is. And I've been here in this role for about 10 years now. And what I love about what I do is no 2 days are ever the same. So, I used to drive into work and kind of plan out your day, but really you can't predict. I've learned to stop doing that because it doesn't really matter. Because it's not going to be what I'm thinking it's going to be. So if you talk to most people today who've been in the industry for a long time, typically they'll tell you that they didn't start off as an instructional designer. I got started through video production, so that's pretty much my passion. I was working at the time, gosh, this was about 15 years ago, in a big pharmaceutical company, and they knew I had this video production, so we kind of started a multimedia department within the firm, and we started doing training videos through that, and that was pretty much a lot of what we did. So we kind of became instructional designers through doing training videos. And most of the people that I work with here who are on my team, one of them started out as a graphic designer and web designer, and another one was an audio specialist, and they worked for a firm that's what they did. They started doing that kind of design for training and instruction, so they became instructional designers. So after my time with that pharmaceutical company, I contracted with a government website doing it was a government program to create a website for DNA, and they did everything from collecting DNA, analyzing, testifying. So that was a very interesting thing, and I was doing more of the flash design, a little bit more multimedia design, and now here I pretty much do everything from instructional design, pretty much soup to nuts. So, I know you guys are probably starting off as instructional designers and maybe have a background in something else, but there's definitely, whatever design field that you're coming from or in, all these aspects kind of play in. So it's kind of an interesting way. And, as I go around here, a lot of people have that kind of different perspective on how they got into instructional design. So here, we create anything from industry topics. So any kind of products that we sell. Currently in my role, I do a lot of leadership development, a lot of HR education, policies, how to run the systems that we have here that our advisors use, leadership, obviously any kind of operations, education, system training, continuing education training. So there's a lot of different areas within the corporate field that need instructional design. So very interesting. We do, as I was kind of thinking about my career and the different processes that we've used. So, with video training, with kind of the online web training, And now here, it's all analysis, running educational proposals, statements of works. And I know there's a big thing in the industry right now, whether you use ADDIE or do you use SAM. And yes, we do. Sometimes use SAM within ADDIE. And the way we kind of approach ADDIE is more, that's pretty much our process that we run by. So, you do the analysis up front, you meet with the subject matter experts, whoever your client is, you kind of why they need training. Do they need training? A lot of times maybe it's the manager, maybe it's, some process that needs to be changed and not necessarily training on that process. Maybe the process is just broken. So it's kind of analyzing, from that perspective. A lot of, in my role, what I do now is more of the design. So you take that analysis, we put together education proposal, statement of work to pretty much design it. And we have big, long documents, but lately I've kind of condensed that to short, like more graphical types presentations that we'll do when we meet. So we could really talk it over and kind of discuss what nuances. But being that we do soup to nuts, kind of have to be careful about that, because whatever you design for that, you have to create. And that is kind of a different process, based on the different things. So when we were doing video training, we would go out, we would storyboard it, we would shoot it, we would edit it and produce it, and then present the final thing. When we were doing the government program, that was a bit different, because we had the writers, we had the people who did more of the design, and then we had the group that I was a part of, which did more of the graphics, the interactions and things like that, and then built the web page. So in different industries and people that, I've met throughout, it's kind of different depending on corporate setup. So you can have a department, or you can have a group that, you have a specific piece of it. But I will say that I enjoy kind of having all of it, because then it's my program. I own it. I can design it. I can develop it, and I could follow up, which is a big struggle, I think, in most corporations that, I know people in, is really doing that, the evaluation at the end. Finding the ROI is very difficult, depending on what processes that you have in place. So we work so rapidly here, that's where kind of SAM comes into play, that successive rapid development, having templates really helps, but really taking that design, building it, and getting it out there. But you're not going to do that without the analysis and without approvals of, what is it that you're going to design. And then, of course, again, having to do all that development on the back end. So what we create here, we still do a lot of classrooms. So we'll do ILT, the instructor-led trainings. We'll do just-in-time videos on systems, create a lot of live online courses. So currently we use things like GoToTraining. Of course, with my background, I keep trying to push videos. So, we'll do short kind of segmented training. So breaking that up, and then when and if we can, we'll do the evaluation. So sometimes we'll just use smile sheets, and big on surveys here. I kind of like the face-to-face talk, kind of getting in, you've taken this course, what did you think? How did it work for you? Or we'll talk to our business partners, how did that go? And, what were some of the feedback? And I particularly enjoy sitting in once I've created a training, sitting in and just gauging the reaction, because you'll see a lot of different things and that you won't get on a survey. So just to give you an idea of the type of projects that we have going on, we just finished a huge project redoing our entire new hire onboarding process, and that's kind of developing out, because what we're doing now is trying to get that out to our remote sites, which you'll find a lot these days in corporations, is that, you'll have a home office space where I am now, but also, as things get more global, we have a wide dispersed audience. We don't do so much our international teams because, regulations, things are just so different between the different nations, but we will do, sometimes we'll do like something for our Canadian group or, our UK group. So we're starting to get a little bit more out there, so, which is nice. So right now I'm working on a big project for our year-end training. So performance reviews, how to do those reviews, how to have the conversations around that. So how to write, a good self-evaluation, how to evaluate your associates, how to discuss that, how to plan goals for next year, how to write those goals. So a lot of that kind of almost kind of HRE type stuff. But we're also building a manager's essentials course. So here are the processes that we have. Here are the legal things that, as managers, you have to look out for. And then building a toolkit around that. So, and that will be an online toolkit that we're developing for that. A lot of leadership development programs, we have a couple in place, but that doesn't really reach, a wide variety of, leaders at different levels. So, we have the new leaders that come on and we have senior leaders, but, that's a pretty wide audience that we're missing through there. So, those are just some of the different things. And that's, true in corporate life, is that you have, all these different audiences. So when we do something like a year end, are we doing something specific for managers, something specific for associates? So a lot of different audiences to kind of keep in mind and to follow. So let's see, we also, just a few tips that, I've kind of gotten out of the corporate life here. And this comes from everything. And one of the big things I pulled from the video production side, because, I was doing a lot of contracting, a lot of work on my own, is really knowing your audiences. So here at the firm, we're kind of very client focused, and probably one of the values that I appreciate most about this firm. And that, obviously, especially true for instructional design. So, it helps determine the design, the delivery, all the methods. So, and then how do you measure that success? So knowing your audience, has there been a change in that? Which, again, in corporate, it's kind of the biggest struggle, because, you're lucky to get in with, some of those key members to really get that kind of feedback back. For instructional, instructor-led learning, go to it, gauge the reaction, watch the reaction of the audience, and then tweak as necessary, because one thing when we do instructor-led, you're not going to get the entire audience in one room. So, we'll do several different sessions of one training. So, it's kind of knowing what is effective for your audience, what's effective for your group, and do that. There's a lot of big industry trends going on right now that I would love to push out, but, you keep getting that, well, the firm's not ready for it and we're not ready for it. But, in my perspective, it's, well, if we go there, then that's where we'll be, and we'll get them there. So kind of baby steps with your audience. Along with knowing your audience, know your tools and know them all, because once you get into, like, different corporations will use different tools. Currently here we use Captivate, so I'm certified in Captivate, but I also know Articulate. So if I went to another firm, I would have that knowledge, although I'd probably push them to use Captivate. But, really know what tools you have. If, all they're using is PowerPoint, find PowerPoint. to the best of your abilities. Okay. So I don't know how much time I took there. If we have any other questions, or if there's anything else, Amber, that you think I could cover?
Definitely. Hi, Krystine. Thank you so much, because everything you've been saying so far is just like gold. I'm just soaking it all up. So, and I'm sure our viewers are as well. We do have one question from the live chat. From Aura, she asks, what is the most challenging thing about being an instructional designer in the corporate sector?
Right now, my biggest struggle is time, because we have a large firm, but a small group of designers. So there's 3 of us, and one of them is remote. So in the office, there's pretty much 2 of us, and there is lots of work that we get. So it's really having a process down, following that process, following your timelines, and meeting that, because, you know, as I said, you really can't predict what's going to happen day to day. And maybe there are some groups or some organizations where, you know, if you're in like kind of a niche role where you're just doing writing, or you're just doing documentation, you're just doing, you know, certain pieces of it, might be a little bit easier. But, you know, in our role, that we kind of take the whole project, you know, start to finish. In corporate world, definitely, you know, this is well documented. Getting the evaluation is the toughest. I mean, there are ways to do it, but really getting that ROI is almost difficult to prove. So kind of, you know, the time management piece, you know, just keeping that. A lot of times it's kind of a selling process, you know, because you have to design it, you have to sell that design, and, you know, you meet, you know, with a lot of leaders, with a lot of different levels of organization, and just remember, you are the expert. You know the design, you know kind of the science behind it, and why things work, why things don't. For a while, we were kind of order takers. You know, people just come to a drive-up window because they know the kind of things that we deliver. So they'll be like, I need a video on this. Well, no, you don't need a video on this. And the last time we created a video on that, nobody watched it. So how effective was that? You know, if it's not going to be effective, you know, and people are like, well, no, we need it because that's what we always have. And that is never a good excuse. You know, just because you had it before doesn't mean that people actually learned from it or retained anything. So, you know, how to know that that's retained, and that was, you know, an appropriate solution for, you know, that training issue.
That's excellent. It's so true. I think we're so fast to take these new technologies and want to get excited about them and apply them. Oh, yeah. But usually it's the simple things that work the best. Yeah. So that's really neat. Yeah. And looking for that. Go ahead.
Yeah. And one other thing, don't be afraid to experiment. You know, we keep hearing the firm's not there, but in the new hire orientation we just did, we created a board game that we also put online, and people are loving it. You know, you don't think like gamification and a financial firm is really going to go over, but so far we're seeing pretty good results from it. So, you know, we're pushing out of this box of, you know, here's the kind of training that you create that our associates like, and you're like, well, I bet you they would like this too. So it's just kind of trial, and don't be afraid to experiment with that.
Wow, that's very neat. Mm-hmm. Especially the game. That sounds so exciting. I think I'd even want to see what you've got. I know you've got all proprietary, but that sounds really exciting. We do have one more question from our audience. It's, as a master's student, I'm sure you're learning a lot of the theory behind instructional design.
Yes.
To what degree does this play a role in the work that you do compared to the practical aspects?
That is a great question. So, even though I've kind of come at instructional design from a back door through video production, I always kind of felt that I didn't really have that theory in the back of my head that, you do pick it up as you go through and you're developing and you're learning different things. And I always have my eye on like LinkedIn groups, so you kind of pick it up. But then I kind of felt like a little bit like a fake when I would go into meetings and didn't have that background. So when I have that background, I was saying it's kind of a sales position almost, because you have to go and sell, why does this design work? What are people going to get out of this? And I think the theory really helps with that. When you're going and you're being like, I'm the expert in this, and you want people to see you that way, having that knowledge, and you could kind of put that into action. And it also helps when you're designing kind of what's going to work, why might this be a better design than something else. I think it comes into play in those kind of things as well.
Very neat. Thank you very much.
And I'll tell you, my manager and I, because he has a bit of a instructional design background, we totally geek out. He gets very excited. Like, because he comes like that, the neural brain science and all that. So it's geeky, but it's fun.
Hey, I am totally into that geeky stuff too, and I think a lot of us are too. So
I like you, Amber.
Thank you. I think it's so exciting to hear. You've talked about you deal with so many different audiences just within your own organization, and you're doing a lot of internal training, but still there's a lot of difference between, say the top to the bottom.
Right.
And I know you've talked a little bit about the model that you like, the SAM model. Could you just briefly maybe talk a little bit more about how you use that model or how you apply that? Just kind of talk through it just a little bit.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of people in our group and in our team that I have to kind of present, our proposals to. And they're very visual. So this is like I try to make my, because our template 7-page design education proposal, which nobody's going to read, but it's good to have. It's good to kind of like plan those things out. But when you're presenting to somebody who's very, we'll just, like the game, for instance, we'll kind of draft it out and then propose that. Like, here's what this could look like. So when you do that, you start you're designing before you've designed it. You're starting to develop, before you design it. So, it's kind of like that. And because we get so many requests, we just have to keep, creating and creating and then put it out and create, and, and then, we kind of push it out there, let the clients look at it, see if it's what you want, and then finalize it and put it out there. So it's a little bit of how we use it, but we've done the analysis in the front. We're kind of doing that kind of rapid succession, like rapid development during the design time, and then like finalizing the development. Then you implement it, which for us is pretty much just publishing it out, like wherever people are going to be accessing it. And then hopefully we could do some sort of evaluation on that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Things definitely move fast, I would imagine, in the corporate world. And
yes.
with the SAM model then, so that's all about design, develop, and evaluate. And really it's just like a stripped down model of ADDIE and just the basics of what you need to focus on. Very nice. Thank you so much.
I think it's, the one thing about ADDIE that I think people get caught up in, because you have the E at the end, is that you evaluate, but in ADDIE, you evaluate all through the process.
Good point. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
We do have another question from people viewing.
Okay.
What is one of the instructional design projects that you have enjoyed working on the most, and why? Do you have a favorite?
My favorite. Currently, I'm going to say that was our which for us for still didn't come from me. That came from our marketing group. But then I learned afterwards she kind of stole it from USF. So that's our week of welcome, if you will. So we have, like, that was something that we had. It was like a 2-day session, and it was kind of getting a little stale. So we completely redid it. We got everything from, the moment that a new hire comes on, like, what's their experience, to now they're here, they're getting onboarded, making them feel welcome, making them feel like they made the right choice. So that was pretty much our goal of the whole thing. So we got to do, we have 2 mobile applications. So we got a whole bunch of tablets that they've used. And sometimes when the tablets aren't working, we'll use laptops. So, so there's a little trivia game up front that they get to play. And even though we have some, like, leaders, some people, new hires that are coming in at a higher level, they get very competitive. And so we work on that competitive aspect of it. And so they have a fun time with that. And then, we also have the board game, which now we put that online as well, so our remote associates can get it. So I think, being able to build some of these pieces and being able to kind of, I love the technology and the development pieces of it. And, you get a really good tool like we have. We're getting a new LMS. So our old one really kept us in a box. So now we're getting rid of that. We're getting something, that's a little better, a little more modern, that we could do more with. And, it's kind of agnostic, whatever kind of tool that you want to do, documentation, whatever, we could put it in. So we're really, our boss gave us a magic wand. If you have a magic wand, what would you create? And, so we're getting a lot of good feedback on that project. So it's very much a blended program. We have little short videos in there. We have the games. We have them actually searching for things like they would if they were on the job. How would they find things on, our internet? So it's very hands-on, it's very interactive, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback.
That sounds really interesting. Employee onboarding is so important to set the tone with your employees. I mean, for their entire career, that's
right. You want to start them off engaged. Even though, like, they get wow and then they get in their job, maybe their job's not very well, but they still feel it. We give them a good start.
Definitely. Oh, how exciting. That's a great idea. I love how you stole the week of welcome idea. I know you do a lot.
Something's good, we do a lot of repurposing. And, at that fast pace, you really have to.
Right. And I know
repurpose, that's our term.
Right. If someone's doing a good job somewhere, there's no reason why you can't rework it to apply to your place and just tweak it a little bit and bring it over. Why reinvent the wheel? I totally agree. Well, it looks like that's the end of our questions from our live viewers. And I know we've taken a good 30 minutes of your time, and I really appreciate you speaking with us. I've learned a lot myself today.
Oh, great.
And it's just, I know you do a lot with leadership too, and there's so many synergies going on, but it's really neat to hear how you're applying the knowledge from the program too in your position as well. So do you have any closing thoughts or anything you'd like to close with, Krystine?
Well, I will say that USF is a great program, and, definitely, I will say I've created a few things for school that I've used here and vice versa. So, definitely, keep a lookout, because, I know my experience is somewhat similar to a lot of people that I talk to in other firms, whether it's financial, whether it's, pharmaceutical or healthcare. As I said, I keep my eye on LinkedIn, and there's a lot, so definitely never stop learning. It's kind of our job, right? So definitely, it's a great program, and just want to thank everybody for attending today, and hope that you got something out of this. I'm always available, so like anybody has any further questions.
Thank you so much, Krystine. If anybody does have any further questions, feel free to email them to any of the club officers, which is listed on our Canvas Instructional Technology Student Association Canvas site. We're also going to have this video up there, at least the link, so that way people can view it afterwards. And thank you so much, Krystine. I really appreciate your time. We're going to be signing off now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.